Probably the biggest reason why you haven't already been into a business to sell them directly is that you're scared of rejection. There may be another one. If you've just joined this course, potentially you don't know what to sell them. But if you've been doing marketing for a little while, you've watched my other videos, you built a couple of websites, you feel confident about your marketing ability. Probably the reason that you haven't talked to a business owner is because you're scared of being rejected. All right? This is covered quite extensively throughout the course because part of being a remote freelance marketer is that you need the confidence to also be a salesman. It's not, oh, I can do marketing and I don't have to do sales. They are linked to the point where you can't have one without the other. And as a salesman, if you can't do direct selling, you are lost because most of the things that come up with direct selling have positive impacts in the other areas. For example, if you're on the spot with a business owner, they throw you a question that you've never considered before. How do you deal with that? Do you go, and then make something up? They're going to smell a rat, So you need to be able to not get nervous in front of a business owner when they ask you something that you don't know. That is part of rejection. Part of the fear of rejection is thinking, well, what if I make a fool of myself? Well, number one, so what if you make a fool of yourself? That is one business out of the hundreds of millions of businesses out there. You cannot run out of businesses. And this is why it's so common for you to hear the phrase sales is a numbers game, because you need to be talking to a lot of people. Let's say you're only just starting this direct selling. You probably have to talk to 60 businesses. Are you prepared to get rejected 59 times out of 60? Really think about that. And if you're not prepared to get rejected 50, 60, 100 times, you probably don't want it enough to actually make it a success. This remote freelance marketing, I'm not going to lie to you and say this is a walk in the park. It requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires an element of luck, getting in front of the right business owner at the right time. But you can't do that if you're not prepared to get rejected. I have a whole book actually, which I'm going to put into this course, into this program on brute force confidence. It's some of my best work that I've done. It's my method for getting you from shivering wreck to proper salesman. All right. So you'll find that in this program. But the crux of it is through exposure. If you want to get over your fear of rejection, number one, you need to realize that emotional damage from being rejected when you're trying to sell something is not physical damage. You could get rejected all day, every day, for months and not sustain any physical damage. Okay? It's just a no. You've put some time in and you've prepped for the meeting and you've gone in and you've said this, you've said that, and you haven't done it really well. They say no. So what? Move on. Like, next business, please. Next one. What you're trying to do here is find the people that really resonate with your particular style. Okay? And that's why there's no such thing as a saturated market, because someone's going to buy from someone when they come along at the right time with the right offer. Just because there's a million website designers doesn't mean there's no website clients for you. Because all those million website design clients aren't even in the consideration with businesses, especially with direct sales. One thing I've noticed is because of websites, because it's websites and digital marketing, the main method people are relying on is cold email. And they're sending hundreds of thousands of emails out, and maybe they're getting 0.01% response rate, if that. And they're ending up in spam and da-da-da. That's a whole module in this course. I'll teach you how to set up the infrastructure. That's great for cold email. You should check that out as well. But nobody's going into businesses and trying to sell websites, or it's very far between. One of the main comments I get is, it's really nice that you're putting the effort in to come in face to face. And if they don't have someone that you can work with, they then are thinking about you. And I've had many times someone say, oh, let me take your details because I've got a friend looking for this. That's the chain reaction. That's the referral mechanism kicking in. But you can't get to the referral mechanism and you can't get to the yes if you're scared of rejection. If you're scared of taking the emotional damage and looking silly. You have to be fine looking silly. Because if you are scared of rejection, you're scared of the emotional damage, you're never going to talk to enough people and put yourself in enough situations to get to yes. And in the beginning, it's an uphill struggle. And you've got to go for it. You've got to grind. You've got to talk. You've got to go see 60 businesses in a week if you want a couple of paying clients, especially if you haven't done the work to get your testimonials. But the brute force confidence method for dealing with rejection is to start really small, and it's to go up. This is if you're a nervous wreck, okay? Which I don't think you are. If you've got the confidence to come into my program and think, you know what, I want to travel the world and do marketing. Probably you're not scared at the very base level. Probably you're just a bit nervous about, oh, I don't really know how to sell digital marketing, okay? But for anyone that's shivering in their boots right now at the thought of talking to a random person, the way that you do this, you follow my brute force confidence method. And that is to start at the very, very bottom and go out and ask 10 people for the time. So, excuse me, my phone is out of battery. Do you have the time? Is someone going to say no to you if you ask for them for the time? No. But it will get you to the point where you've actually asked someone something on the street. You've asked a stranger something. Once you've done 10 of those, you should realize, as long as you're not too deep, you should realize, oh, these are just normal people. And that's who business owners are. Business owners are normal people. So if you can go up to someone and you can ask them for the time, you can ask a business owner for money. It's on the same spectrum. It's just the stakes are higher. But the stakes aren't even that high, because if they say no, you've got a million other businesses that you're going to see in your lifetime. So what does it matter if 100,000 people say no to you, if 100 people say yes to you, and suddenly you are at you're at $2,000 a month doing marketing? It doesn't matter. So level 1 of the brute force confidence for getting over fear of rejection is the asking people for the time. Then you go one step more and you don't ask them for the time. You say, hey, how are you? And if they're like, I'm fine, and then walk away, good. That's reps. That's reps. Then you go up and you ask them for something. So you ask a random stranger on the street. You should know how to build a website now if you followed the other videos. Go ask them, hey, do you need a website? I've done this more than 10,000 times on the street. I only had 2 bad situations. One guy was really angry. He just shouted at me, a website? Why would I need a website? And then the other guy, I was in Hyde Park. I walked up to this guy, sat on the bench, and I said, oh, excuse me, do you need a website? He said, no! And he had very shaved teeth and all red, like he'd been chewing that beetle gum. And I was very, very, very scared. So I just ran. And that's another one, is you can run away. If it goes bad, you can just leave. You never have to talk to them again. Okay? You're going to mess up. This is the fact. So I'm not saying you need to get over your fear of rejection because you're not going to mess up. I promise you, you're going to mess up. You're going to say something to a business owner and they're going to be like, oh, you clearly know nothing. Even if you know everything. Oh, you clearly know everything. Get out of my shop. This is a waste of my time. I'm a busy person. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you've just got to be comfortable with that. And actually, that's the root of getting over your fear of rejection. It's not making yourself so perfect you don't fail. It's actually accepting you're going to fail and being fine with it.